Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Today's show is the standards in the Star Citizen Alpha. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible, but we are in the 10th year of Star Citizen's development. We are going to, I think, see the 10th CitizenCon celebration. Maybe the 9th, I don't know. This is a wild thing to think of when you look at something like the selling feature that came in 3.17 and look at the standard that is considered acceptable for what's in the game. I find to be incredibly low. And anytime I find myself complaining about the standards that are in Star Citizen for the features that come in the game, a lot of players will say, well, Star Citizen is an alpha, so why are you complaining? Well, if we keep saying that Star Citizen is an alpha all the time, we always give them an excuse to put in features completely, almost non-functional, okay? Is Star Citizen an alpha? Are they right? Yes. Okay, it is. But it is also a live service. It's not just an alpha, it's also a live service, right? So, given that it's a live service and we're about to see a big event that's going on for an Invictus celebration, right? That's not a very alpha thing to do, but that's a very live service thing to do, is to do events and holiday events and all these other things. It is both. And for me, I feel that the standard being set for features that come in the game are way too low. Now, I'm not asking them to raise them to an incredible bar of a finished, polished game. But what I'm saying is that when a feature comes in the game like selling, the only issue that I have is that the feature is so incomplete that the only feedback that I can give on that feature is how incomplete it is. Essentially, all they're looking for with the selling feature that they are promoting as like, hey, this, like the song for the patch and everything was like, make money, all this stuff, right? Okay, I can't make money clicking twice and every transaction one at a time taking 7 seconds. That's insane. That's not something that should ever be in the game. That's something that I absolutely feel is perfect to put in a PTU and then develop to a standard that is ready to go to live. Right? Because the PTU is a perfect situation for where we are now, where the devs are basically asking you, hey, players, were you able to sell an item from your backpack? Why, yes, developer, I was. Great. Now we'll continue working on the feature, right? I like people in chat are saying it's minimum viable. It's the minimum to tick it off. My argument here, it is not the minimum. This cannot be the minimum. The minimum has to come up. It only has to come up like this. It just has to come up like this. It doesn't have to come up like this, but it does have to come up. And I would like to see the PTU be used more and to be used more for things like this. Like, hey, were you able to sell from your backpack? Did you have any issues with that? Yes, no, okay, good. Now let's move. Now, we don't even need to put it in live. Now we pull it back. We continue to iterate on it. And then when we feel that it's a live-worthy feature, we'll put it in live. That's what I want to see from the Star Citizen developers as far as something that is a standard that needs to be set, and that we as backers and players we can't accept this anymore, because then we're going to continue to get these things forever. Like this. Look at the Trader app is another example of something that was put in. It works, money goes back and forth, but it's quite incomplete from there, right? Lastly, we're in a place where bugs are going to happen. Things are going to be problematic. I understand that. I want to know from you guys if my position here is reasonable, unreasonable, why or why not. Okay? I want to see Star Citizen getting better. I want to see it start to reach. I want to see it get better. I don't want to see it continue to be subpar from its feature standpoint. Star Citizen is fantastic from its visuals and its locations and everything, okay? But it is incredibly subpar for the features that are being developed. And I understand we have a ton of features that need to come in, but yeah, we'll have to figure that out. And let's start out with our first caller, Reezer. Let me bring him in. Reezer, hello. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you perfect.
All right. What's up, Mike?
Not much. So I did a much longer monologue than I wanted to. I feel like I'm missing some of the things that I wanted to say, but I didn't want to go on much longer than that. So I kind of know your feelings on this, but others may not. What do you think about how
entirely.
I feel?
I'm not sure. I was typing up my notes and I came to realize that it might not be just as straightforward as I initially thought it to be.
Yeah, but that's where I want people to kind of talk some sense into me here a little bit, in a way.
Okay, I think this entire discourse got started because of how shitty selling is, and salvage being yet another beam. And obviously salvage shaping up to be another kind of like this mediocre, very game-ish mechanic where when almost everybody expects so much more from Star Citizen.
Can I pause you there? What do you mean about like a game-ish mechanic? Because obviously it should be gamified, right?
Yes, that's true. But I think people in their mind with salvage, they always expected a lot deeper, like how the ship parts break off, what you can do with it, how you extract the components, crafting, whatever. It's not that it's not coming, but that they don't even mention if it's gonna come or not. It's just they show like a basic, the texture on the 890 jump changes a little bit, kind of mechanic with a laser beam just being moved around. I don't know. I think you understand that. People believe it to be highly disappointing, and
I think some people got really excited by that. I imagine a lot of people got really excited by that. I had the opposite feeling, but
I had the opposite feeling as well, for sure. And you will there will be people sawing out over the tiniest of changes every single time. It's a loud minority, I believe, but I don't know. I think again we don't know exactly what is going to be like, and a huge part of it, the issue in large part comes from these concept sales as well. I don't believe that the concept sales or the marketing does any kind of help with tempering the expectations. They need to put a giant fucking leash on their marketing department, who I feel went off the deep end in the last 2 years, maybe in recent times at least. You can't go like, all right, boys, soy, it's Xylo over here. This is an alpha. Stop being entitled. I am typing up a post on Reddit about how it's incomplete and how these mainstream media outlets shouldn't be taking this so seriously. And then, okay, guys, last chance to grab this incredible $600 ship with like 20 features that we have never mentioned before. Check out the concierge sale website. Only $50 off Warbond, and we got absolutely zero idea about the features and the game that would provide the context for these features. A tier 0 needs to be or needs to be this kind of maybe the animation is not that smooth, maybe they don't have too much content for it, but
core functionality needs to be there. Like there's like, okay, for something like selling, for something like inventory, there are examples of how this works in many other games. For salvage, it's kind of hard to say what salvage should look like, right? I think salvage is kind of going to be in a place of its own, even mining in some way. But for simple things like inventory, healing, FPS combat, things in other games that we have experiences with, there's a clear standard being set by the gaming industry, right? And the standards of core functionality have been set, and that's where my expectations for inventory should be. It should be I should be able to move one item from it's okay. I should be able to move an item from one place to another, and I should be able to move it without having to click a billion times.
I agree. I think even when they put up all the caveats, you cannot have this alpha but it's a simultaneously this live environment.
Yeah.
And then people come in. People are aware of like video games in general, right? So even with tier 0, you kind of have just a very basic quality of life expectation. And I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do the 10 years in meme. But 10 years in, and having played several games, everyone here probably, you cannot just show something this bare bones, because no matter what like caveats you put up or how much Jared or Xylo is gonna preface everything, people will be disappointed, and that's the situation that you at this point in time you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Just at some point, I believe it should have happened some time ago. You need to start to show that the game is actually shaping up to become a feature complete product, or not like a smooth polished one, but something where we see these systems usable and convenient enough up to a set standard. I believe like selling is the same thing. I logged in, I started selling things. I spent like 30 minutes clicking yes, then DCing, just put everything back in my inventory. Then I did it again. I saw your Reddit post. It got like 2,000 upvotes. I think it's like the most upvoted post in the last 30 days on the Star Citizen Reddit. Also Reddit Soy. But yeah, so you got a ton of upvotes, because even the people who are more generous towards Star Citizen, I think even they find it kind of unacceptable. And that's I think that's what CIG needs to realize is that this is we are over the turning point where people are gonna put up with something this bare bones, and it's such a basic feature for every single game you have ever played, and it's polished and easy to use to such a great extent in some of those better games that the lowest of low expectations are still far higher than what we got. And I think that CIG needs to make that change, that they push it out in somewhat acceptable state, or keep it in the PTU.
Okay, here's a situation where, you remember how I said I jumped in to your call a little bit early and I knew there was something else I wanted to say?
Yes.
Well, CIG is kind of agreeing with us, okay? And how they're agreeing with us is in a sneaky way to take developers off of Star Citizen and move them over to Squadron 42, with the caveat that, hey guys, by the way, when all these developers go to Squadron 42, they're going to bring these things up to a much higher standard. And then when they are done with that, they're going to bring them back to you in Star Citizen, right? So
yes.
The last feature that was not at that standard was selling, is my understanding. The first feature that is at that standard is going to be salvage. So,
okay,
in a lot of ways, I am pause champing, and for people on YouTube that are going to see this, pause champing is being patient or waiting for something to let's see what happens there. Okay, so there is a little bit of we're in the in-between stage, but it's also another great opportunity to share something out there. And I've been actually getting a lot of comments from developers from many studios about, hey, I liked what you said about this, or hey, I don't think you quite understood this, and then they explain a little bit more about something to me, and it's been really nice lately. And again, I talked about this earlier in my stream. They've been helping me understand a little bit about how they do things, about how things work, which is why I've kind of calmed down a little bit.
They don't say that. You're telling us this information.
Chill.
No, I'm chill. I'm saying that
No, I mean, chill. Like, let me
I
finish.
will have to.
Sorry, just let me
Okay,
finish
go
1
ahead.
second, then you could
Yeah,
jump
go
in
ahead.
because your point of view is actually good. Where you're going, I respect it and I don't disagree with it. But the issue here is what is the standard for Squadron 42? What's it going to be like when it comes back to us? But before we get into that, one person in chat said this, and this is the worst take I think to have, is saying, while the current inventory management sucks, okay, they agree, do you agree the game itself could dictate the need for something different than the industry standard? Why does everything in the game have to, and I may or may not be understanding their question correctly, and that's why I think it's a bad take. I don't know. But what I feel like I'm getting from that person is a lot of people, and the standard that is being set by the backers of Star Citizen is to do something different with everything. Reinvent the wheel with everything. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with inventory. I just need to be able to move my stuff back and forth. You want to reinvent the wheel with like getting in and out of your spaceships and huge planets and whatever. That's what we're here for. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel and make everything more tedious in my video game. Okay? I want you to reinvent the wheel in the right places, not everywhere. But I hope I understood their question correctly, and I thought it would apply to this.
Yeah. So you were saying that Savage is gonna be the first feature that's coming in like a higher tier state or like a more polished state because of Squadron. Once again, show me. I am sorry, Mike, but we have again. I have to repeat myself that. All right, no receipts yet. Once there is gonna be a single showcase of one of those better polished, higher quality, higher tier features, I'm gonna be behind you 100%. Unfortunately, they mentioned that all right, shifting focus to Squadron 42, then we will be working on features there. Then we'll bring it up to whatever standard, but definitely higher than Tier 0, and then they will implement it to Star Citizen. And they said that 2 years ago, maybe, I'm not sure. And nothing came of it so far. If you are telling me that Salvage will be the one, and it's gonna be
I'm
the
not
first
saying
drop
anything
between
about
the
it.
floodgates.
I'm saying this is the first feature that is coming over from Squadron 42, and let's see what they give us. Like, it's time to be like, oh, is that the standard for, like that's where I think we get to be a little bit critical and be like, this is unacceptable. We're kind of in a situation where we don't know what we're going to be getting back from them.
Yes, but they have to own it. Like, give us something that you say is a part of Squadron 42 that's further in development, and fucking own it. That I am sick of CIG being such fucking pussies, dude. Just own up to a feature and show us that this is getting close to a complete aspect of the game, and this is gonna be what the game will shape up to be. Own your word,
okay.
And they never, because every time there is the excuse.
Stop. Because they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They've already stated this a billion times, but I'll state it for you again, is they're not going to bring a feature up to a high level. They're not going to do it. They're going to keep putting out every feature at tier 0. And the point of the podcast today isn't to tell them, make a feature and make it really good. Okay? That's not the conversation here. The conversation is, what should tier 0 look like? Because that's the plan. And if you're not on for that plan, you're just going to be pissed off for the remainder of your time here. Because that's not what's going to happen. So I'm just trying to like clue you into that, and you gotta like that.
But then they can take a different approach. I believe then give us context for let's say Salvage is a simple beam for the time being, right? Then give us a couple missions. Give us like a loop. We can play all tier 0 only. Every mechanic inside, selling the entire Salvage aspect, everything tier 0. Then don't show us the final polished way and animations and VFX and the gameplay. Just keep it tier 0, and then show us more. You cannot just give us something like refueling, right? Extremely basic, extreme tier 0, and on top of that, it also has zero context within the current persistence universe. Correct? Would you agree? Like, don't do something like this. Make it so it's a simple tier 0 version, but then give us additional content where we can play it. For example, bunkers, right? Give us more ground content. Remove some of the bunkers, and then change it up. We have had the same basic tech demo bunker where you go down. It's an enclosed small location.
I can't with you sometimes.
And then you loot. I'm sorry, but how is it?
I'm sorry, but the reason I can't is because you don't pay attention. You don't pay attention to anything that's going on.
Because they have not shown us anything. I can also log into the game.
They do. This is the part. You just come here and you just want to yell. You just want to yell and cry about the game all the time. But the thing is, and this is fine, because this is, I think you're pointing out a really big problem with the way Star Citizen communicates, is if you don't pay attention and watch hours of content every week, you're not going to know that, oh, they are going to make ground missions better because they're planning on putting NPCs on the ground and having them walk around. And they're not going to just be in the same bunker, and you're not going to be doing the same bunker over and over again, right? They've been talking about their nav mesh tech forever, which is in literally every other game.
Yes, forever.
Yeah.
No, zero proof anywhere. All right, nav mesh this. Yeah, so... I am sorry, Mike, but I am way past the point of caring about like a roadmap update, and it's not in the game.
But again, you're crying that you want more shit, and they're telling you this is the direction where we're going, and then you don't know that it's there. So you understand, like that's why I'm getting annoyed by the conversation, is because when I do tell you what's coming, then you just go, well, I don't believe them. So how do we win here? How do we have a normal conversation like normal human beings if you're always going to put the wall up and just be like, fuck them? It's just never going to work, right? And that's why I get annoyed, because no matter what, it's always going to be fuck them at the end, and it's never going to be a normal conversation back and forth. We're like, okay, well, let's see what happens with that or whatever. Because in the end, like at the same time, I know, dude, this is so annoying to have to wait for all this shit. But at the same time, you don't make video games, neither do I. And I don't know how long this shit is supposed to take. It probably isn't supposed to take this long.
We have seen plenty of games having been made.
And we've seen plenty of times where CIG has dropped the ball completely and wasted our time.
And yes, and I think that was a bit too much for me. Yes, that's I will admit that. Yeah, I am infinitely more uncharitable than what I was 2 years ago. That's entirely true. I am sorry, but until I play it, I don't care. The promises are ramping up and the deadlines are creeping closer and closer. So I understand why you are excited. I guess I'm just a bit less optimistic, and I am really
I'm not
the
excited.
Edge.
I'm nervous. That's why we're having this show. Because I'm nervous.
Nervous in a way that at some point, once those deadlines are passed, I believe you will also lose the charitability that you have towards CIG currently.
I will likely lose the charitability. I will likely lose that charitability the moment I see Salvage. Now, from what I saw for the handheld side, and I think that's... I don't know if the ship side went Squadron 42, but I know the handheld side did, because that's the actor status team, right? Mm-hmm. That's the team that moved to Squadron 42 first. That's the one that started this shift over to doing things this way, which should have been done years ago, by the way. Everything should have moved to Squadron 42. It should have been brought up to a proper standard and then come to us. They're doing things the way they should have been doing them forever ago. I cannot complain about that. That'd be crazy for me. To say, hey, we're going to bring things up to a standard and then actually deliver it to the people who will be playing the game. Totally reasonable, totally fine. The thing is when it comes in and if it doesn't have the core functionality, Reezer, we're getting a little long on the call. We have quite a few people.
Yes, I understand.
What for you would be the core functionality? Because Salvage is the first thing where we can be critical about them about this. What would Salvage look like? It's going to be tier 0, but what is the bare bones minimum for salvage handheld. Let's ignore the ships for right now because I don't know if it's reasonable for that to have been in Squadron. But we know that the actor team went over there. Handheld salvage. What does it look like?
You want to know? I believe that it can be basic, extremely basic, but if it's in the context of like let's say there exists a mission where you have to it's on a planet, you have to fly down, you get attacked, and you have to fly in atmo.
I don't want to cut you off, but I have to.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't want to cut you off, but I have to. And I don't want to explain game development to you, at least Star Citizen game development to you, but I have to.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be a mission involved. And because this is when they did this is what they said. It's going to go to Squadron. It's going to come back with the ability to give designers the ability to make missions. Now, if your standard is that I don't want to see this come into the game until there's missions, I respect it. But I just wanted to stop and I don't want to mix. I don't want to interrupt that much. I hate doing it.
I will say that then I will most definitely be disappointed because I don't necessarily care about getting down to like extremely polished mechanics. For me, let's say if there are plenty of all the ships are salvageable and then you can sell it, that's tier 0. All right, good. Don't care. Probably not gonna do it. Like I haven't done the undocking, I haven't done refueling. Doesn't matter if there is no gameplay to it, right? Unfortunately, that's my point. If I have to be fully honest.
Okay.
One of the things that
before we go, last thing. One of the things that they pointed out that I thought was very cool with this salvage is you are in a PvP dogfight. You win. Their ship is just sitting there, ready to be salvaged. You took damage on your ship. You now go over with your handheld beam. And they said this on a Star Citizen Live. This was pretty cool. You go over to that ship. You now strip their hull. And then you go over to your ship and you repair it.
If that's in, I think that's sufficient. I agree. I am honest.
When it comes to the handheld side, yes. But like you said at the beginning of your call, the ship-based side, I expect more from. And what I saw so far did not get me excited.
I have to agree. So, for closing statements, I believe, Mike, we were on the same road, then we came to a crossroads, and you took the highly cautious but optimistic side, and
you're just over it
on the over it side.
Yeah.
And I believe I played. There was a year, like probably 2 years ago, I played a lot more than you, for example. I played PvP, PvE, I tried everything. And I think the progress and the lack of it just burnt me completely out. And you are the one trying to pull me back, which probably no one else ever could. Especially not the other absolute total fucking garbage Star Citizen content creator community. But obviously that's my opinion about the state of the
keep
everyone around the game.
Keep that opinion to yourself.
That's mine.
Those are my friends.
I know, and that's my take only. You don't represent it. Okay, but so I took the pessimistic side, and once I'm telling you that, and the issue is that I have not seen any tangential progress that I would respect in a way. And the moment that what you are telling is gonna be in the game, like they make that leap, that they make that change in approaches and implementation, I will probably just run back to you and give you a giant hug.
Maybe at CitizenCon one day.
Let's stay there, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, honestly.
Me too. But all right, Reserve, we'll let you go here and we'll go to the next caller. But I think we hit a good spot there at the end.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me call in.
No problem.
Take care, Mike.
Our next caller is Pakilla, and Pakilla has some. I always forget if it's game development or software development experience. And the last time Pakilla was on the show, he was towards the end of a show, and some of you may have missed it, but Pakilla really talked some sense into me. Do you remember what the subject was, Pakilla? I can't remember now.
No.
Yeah, me neither. But whatever. So the standards for the Star Citizen Alpha, I'm not happy with them. What do you think? Does it make sense because they're on the same branch, all that stuff, for a kind of crappy selling feature? It was about wipes. That's right. Remember you told me you basically convinced me that we don't need to do wipes. The thing for me is the selling feature came in. It basically was like, yes, I can sell something. No, I cannot. Okay, we're able to sell things. It works. And that's all we have.
So let's look back at the previous feature that Cloud Imperium Game put into the Star Citizen. For example, Mission Giver, it's really considered abandoned at this point, right? You don't see they add any new mission giver. You don't see they update a lot. It's just in a maintenance mode, right?
Yeah, and what's even crazier was every year they were adding, with each new planet, they were going to add these mission givers. With Crusader, there were supposed to be mission givers. They never came. I believe, does Microtech have mission givers?
Yes, they were supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So we lost those. So not only was it abandoned for what we have in game, but it was completely abandoned at this point.
Yeah, I think what those features are a proof of concept is that they're trying to design a system that can support the existence of these features.
Yes.
Right? As long as they have a basic functionality, we will call it a win. That's what a proof of concept is. We don't really care about quality of life. We don't really care about stability. We care about if we can work from A to B to C and have a complete loop.
Yes.
That's a proof of concept stuff. And that's what Cloud Imperium does. There a lot of feature in the early phase of the Star Citizen.
Yeah, and they did that with... If I can jump in for a second, I'm sorry. They did that actually with the mission givers. Is most of the mission givers don't work very well. But one of them they brought up to that kind of proof of concept was the one... I can't believe it. I have not slept very much. Miles Eckhart. Yeah, the bald guy, Miles Eckhart. They brought him up to like a higher standard where he actually has like a proper mission chain. Twitch Pacheco kind of does as well. And so there's some of them that have met that proof of concept, and some of them feel abandoned, and they haven't added any other ones. Now, can we apply that to selling, or where were you going with your conversation before I interrupted? I apologize.
No. You can interrupt me as much as you want because I will have time to think, so I will appreciate it.
No problem.
What I'm trying to get to is those features are more in the content side, right? Like bunker. Bunker is proof of concept, right? We only got one type of bunker.
Yeah.
And it already proved that this feature set work. We have a place that spawn enemy, blah, blah, blah. In the future, if we want to expand the content, all we need to do is just add more variety with the rune setup. So for that feature set, we would consider a win already. But for feature that's more close to user interaction, like selling, I think that's where they need to change the way they are doing things a little bit.
Okay.
And they did, right? They say they want to bring the feature into Squadron 42, bring it up to the gold standard, then bring it back to the Star Citizen.
Yeah, but for a thing like selling, that's not a feature that would be in Squadron 42 necessarily. So what do? They did this.
I'm not sure when the selling is being worked on, if it's before the change was made or whatever, but I can say it is the selling did its job. It just needs a quality of life pass. And for that, it's really a low-hanging fruit they can achieve in a relatively short amount of time compared to actually having to set up entire backend to support selling itself. So
but then let me stop you there about like we can go on to inventory, we can go on to the trader, we can go on to the star map, and we can go on to countless things that would be a relatively quick, low-hanging fruit type thing to fix, but they don't. So why don't they?
Priorities. It's all about priorities. Because
why
no matter
wouldn't something like quality of life be a priority in a live service game?
because there are still a lot of mission core feature. It doesn't matter if you have a quality of life on a part of the gameplay. If something big is missing on the other side, then the game is incomplete. So they have a priority going around saying, okay, we need to push every dev resource we have on this core functionality, bring up to at least we can present something before we focusing on quality of life stuff. So
Yeah.
here's where the balance comes. Do they want to make this game more on the live service side or more on the alpha side? Because this
Well,
is
they
the
clearly
trade.
show where they're at with that. They want it to be more on the alpha side, not on the live service side.
Yeah, because they are 10 years in. They cannot afford to trade time for quality of life. This is thing that people have to understand is no matter how we want to deny the fact that it's just gonna take time, even 10 years in.
Yeah. I hope Reezer's listening, because that's the most sensical statement I've heard ever on this show, was that they can't, it's 10 years in, guys, we can't trade quality of life for finishing the game. And that's why I think that they because the thing is that the most of the Star Citizen community will say the exact opposite thing. And I've said this before too, because this is what I believe. And in a lot of ways is they kind of can trade time if they bring the current experience up a little bit and make it a little bit better. Because then you have a game that we could play. It's not the game, but then that gives them more time. If you have a decent experience in what they've built so far, this is just my opinion though, is that I feel like that gives them a longer lease on life for me, because I'll just play the game while I wait for them to actually finish what they wanted. But I think what you said makes a lot more sense, and it's just, it is what it is. But man, where was I gonna go? I had a thought in my mind, and then you said that, and I was like, oh shit, kind of hit me with a bomb there. That was pretty good.
It was a size 10 colossal bone, huh?
It was. But yeah, most of the Star Citizen community would say, well, it's been 10 years. Make the game and do things. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is why we need Squadron 42 out. I play another game called Stellaris. Okay, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a 4X game. It's like like you have an empire and you go take over the galaxy kind of thing. It's really, really fun. What they do from the dev side, but they're also a very released game, is this. They have a team that works on new features, and then they have a team that is entirely on quality of life. And what the team that is working on quality of life does is, I believe every quarter they have a patch that they deliver, and then the feature team has a patch that they deliver at another set time. So you have a team that is focused on patches that are only quality of life, bringing the game up to a better standard, and then you have a team who works on features. We don't have the luxury at Star Citizen to do that, because they're working on Theaters of War, Squadron 42, Star Citizen, Star Marine, and Arena Commander all at the same fucking time. So we got to get the big one out of the way, and then maybe we can get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely makes sense, because for what they are making, 2 games, right? A single player game, of MMO, supposed to be MMO, they have a relatively small dev size.
Yeah.
700 people isn't a lot of people.
And how many of them are working on the MMO side? Almost none of them, it feels like. Yeah. When you look at who goes on camera, it's very few people. And the people who go on camera are not the Squadron 42 people, obviously, right? So it's a weird situation.
It's kind of speculation, but it's kind of hard to not think about that too.
Yeah, it's very speculating, but yeah. It is. It's very hard.
It's all Squadron 42's fault, man. Motherfucker want to make a fucking video game movie.
Maybe. But the thing is like, did you ever play Wing Commander or anything?
No.
Then you don't understand. There's something special about that game, and this is the next version of that. So that means something. Don't say nobody played those games. I played those games. Bitch
I
in
would just
chat.
say is the Wing Commander how they handle the cinematic part of the game, right? The story part of the game. Is there any different from the modern games we see right now, like Call of Duty, where they handle campaign?
Wing Commander was the first game ever to put cutscenes in. It was like monumental as far as video games. It changed everything.
Let me change my question a little bit.
Okay.
How close it is compared to Mass Effect? Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, it was... I mean, it was in the 90s, so it couldn't compare with Mass Effect. I don't know. I would almost describe it like Doom in space with cutscenes.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration of how Squadron 42 is gonna be. And I think we are off the topic here a little bit, so I'm gonna say I got nothing more to say.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, the original Doom, not the current one, by the way. Yeah, because you just shoot things, guys. That's what happens, and that's what happened in the game. But whatever. So yeah, Puckhill, I appreciate it. Thank you for opening my eyes a little bit. I was really hoping that you called, to be honest, because again, I think that my point of view isn't always the best. And we're about 40 minutes into the show. The max we can get is 2 hours. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 more people in the queue. I hope we can get to all of them. So we'll have to see. Okay. Thank you, Puckilla, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye now. Our next caller is Squishy Bits. Squishy Bits, what's up, dude?
It's me.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right. What's up?
Not much. So what do you think about my opinions? And maybe you can respond to some of the callers and their opinions as well. Whatever you want. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, I got a couple notes. So, from where I'm sitting, it looks like if we're going to have quarterly releases, we can't have high standards as well.
Okay.
And how CIG has set up their whole, system is the marketing has to generate hype. CIG has a self-enforced quarterly release schedule, and that generates low standards just based on how it is.
Yeah, we've had a podcast about this too. I feel like we have to get away from the quarterly standard or the quarterly release thing and just decide what you want in a patch. Don't make it too insane like 3.0 and deliver it when it's ready.
So that's kind of similar to where I'm leading into.
Yeah.
Because the one of the previous callers you were talking about spending development time on quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's, in my eyes, that's always going to be a waste of time.
Okay.
In a game that's as unfinished as Star Citizen, because it's like, I don't know, it's like you're trying to build a shopping mall, and you're pushing away all the dirt with all the construction vehicles, right? And then every quarter, you're like, all right, well, the investors are going to come by to look, so we got to plant some shrubs and make it look really good, and then the investors come by and look, and it's like, all right, well, it's a bunch of shrubs. That's not exactly what we wanted, but I guess it looks pretty. And then they go away, and then they bulldoze it all down.
They're making progress. Yeah, see this progress we're making? Look at this.
Yeah, it's like we got to make it look pretty the whole time. Like you're still building it. Mm-hmm. So quality of life is kind of similar in that way.
Yeah.
So, but the solution, the only a possible solution that I could see is to shore up the current systems that we have and just try to get them as good as we can, and then move to a yearly live release and have a slow drip PTU that's just always on in the background, so they can,
I don't think it has to be yearly. I think it has to be when it's ready. But
yeah, I mean, well, the yearly part I think would just it's just some sort of deadline. Because if there's no deadline at all, I don't know. I don't see anything getting polished ever. if they have some sort of, push.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, a year's a long time to have to play a Star Citizen patch with no economy and right. I think what you're asking for, we're a little further away from. There's too much that needs to be done for that to work.
Yeah,
I think you lose your whole player base if we do that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think you can decide to be like, this is going to be like, here's what could have been 315, right? And we could have waited until now to get it, let's say. But 315 should have been looting, medical, selling, derelicts with boxes, all that stuff. And then selling just needed to be a bit higher. This was the inventory patch. You could even maybe tie the cargo refactor into that. And that was like, we did a whole huge pass on inventory and all these other quality of life features. Cool. The next patch is the persistence and server meshing patch, and they take a lot of time and try to deal with all the issues that come with that in the PTU away from us as much. And then we get that. And whenever that stuff happens, it does. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it can't be as bad as it is now. I think we're kind of all in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Even CIG seems to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Somebody in chat said the current setup is the best of both worlds. I mean, I don't feel like this is the best of any world right now. This is, in a lot of ways, feels like torture to play.
Yeah, it just feels like they're forcing themselves to give us whatever they have, no matter what state that it's in.
I don't want to live on either of those worlds.
Yeah,
I'll pick Mars.
They'll push out release dates of quarterly releases to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, we get what they have.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, it's not ready.
And
yeah, I don't know. I feel like a more persistent PTU in the background where we could go check out the unfinished shitty version of Star Citizen and give feedback on that, and then go back to the live, quality but less feature complete. I mean,
I want us to be there, but I want us to be there post meshing, and I want us to be there post Tony Z economy. Then I'm okay with that.
Meshing is gonna break everything, though.
Well, exactly.
I don't think they could really have. Could they have meshing in PTU and then non-meshing in live? Well,
I think they can do that with any feature. They just have to click a button.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I remember way back when, like, that's like, if I know how things work, they're all on the game dev branch, and then they cull out. Oh my god, why am I reading Twitch chat? You fucking people are so stupid. This is how it works. I'm not even going to tell you that it may be how it works. This is how it works. Okay? The everything is off of the game dev branch. Squadron 42, Star Citizen, Theaters of War, everything is on that branch. And then they break off of that. And they can cull things out from that. And they have automated systems that do that. And that's how that works. So it's possible, I would imagine. I don't know for sure, though. But that's how that works. So could you have... I mean, and one dev said that's not 100% anymore. I don't know what he's referring to. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Now, I was very sure. Now I'm pretty sure. But I think that it's like an automated system in a lot of ways that you can remove certain things like the Squadron 42 characters and things like that, so we don't find them. And I don't know if server meshing could be a thing like that, or if it's just things like characters.
Yeah.
He said I'm in the roundabout park. Well, that's good enough. All right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the rest of the things, I have NDAs and I can't share. Why?
I have another
know what I
Discord
know.
for those. It's fine.
No, I mean you don't. Like that Discord is so fucking lost. It's not even funny. But whatever. So yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about the standard. I think we're like super mega off topic now, but that's how I feel. I just feel like things need to be brought up a tiny bit. I'm really not asking for the world here, guys. I'm just saying I don't want to go for a feedback session and say, well, it worked, but it sucks to use, because that's literally the same with everything. And I think it shouldn't come in without that. But Pakila kind of changes my mind a bit with that as well, with his call. So now I don't know what to think. But what I do know is I can't play the game this way.
Oh yeah.
I can't play the game this way. And it's very clear that they would like us to play the game as well.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta meet me. You don't have to meet me in the middle, but you gotta come more towards the middle. Otherwise, I don't want to play the game anymore. Now, I'm just me. You know, I do stream on Twitch and I have a couple viewers. So I'm a little bit different than your average player, but not that much, right? I'm not like a XQC saying, fuck this game, it's the worst game I've ever played. So it doesn't really make a difference. I don't have that kind of influence. But I imagine that there's more players like me out there that feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I know I feel the same way. Like it's
frustrating.
You try so hard to have fun because you can see how great it could be. And then all of the low standard, unpolished parts come out at every turn.
How
and it's
can we
so
talk,
hard.
Like the thing, like how can I wish I went back at Puckhill a little bit with this one, is how can we talk about the we don't want to waste the time or its priorities and all these other things when obviously the art has been a massive priority, and because of the art has taken a situation where it's taken the game and made it more difficult to do game development in a faster paced way.
Yeah, like if we had like if they allowed us to see unpolished features to test them out, then we could get them faster, like that kind of thing.
No, like if we didn't have mega detailed planets or mega detailed buildings, mega detailed everything besides the actual features that we play with. Everything is mega detailed, but what you actually use and how you interact with it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's all I got, though.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. First time calling, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've had a lot of those lately. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, anytime. All right, our next caller is Beefy Joe. Beefy, what's up? Not a first time caller. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Nice to talk to you.
Ooh, your mic.
Oh.
Your mic's struggling.
Man.
You want to try something? Press Control-Alt-Delete. Go to Details. Click Audio DG. Right-click it. Let me know when you're there.
Okay.
And then set priority to high. Right click it again. Set affinity. Unclick all the cores and click just core 2. and then I'm going to cross my fingers.
Hello?
No, that didn't fix it at all. Okay. You got to unplug your mic
I'm
and plug it back in.
gonna go to the back of the queue.
Yeah. I'll put him next in line, and we'll put Leadhead up. Leadhead, what's up, man? Is your mic working?
I think so, hopefully.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Hey, we good for
Oh, we have a camera. Oh, nobody ever calls in with a camera, dude.
Oh.
Nice.
we got to keep chat entertained.
Yeah, true. So, let me get your name up here because I was ready for Beefy and not you. What do you think about the conversation so far? I'm kind of all over the place. I'm getting pulled in every direction. I don't know how to feel anymore.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Let me set the stage, right? I'm an unabashed fanboy, right?
Okay.
But reasonably logical about a lot of this stuff. I think everyone's had a lot of really good points. But I think one of the things that you can take away from, like you said, you're getting pulled all over the place. There isn't an easy solution to this problem. And I think no matter how good the solution might be, even to a group of people that you can speak to, your little echo chamber of friends and stuff,
Yeah.
you're never going to hit the nail on the head with this. And no one's ever going to come up with this kind of wonderful solution that's going to make every backer in the community just say, oh yeah, this is the thing I was waiting for. This is what makes it playable. This is what's going to make it bearable for me to play the game as a game.
Yeah.
I don't think those sort of solutions exist in the state that the game is in. And when we look at the 10-year development cycle, frustrated or not with that length of development, even now we're not at the point where you can take this into a game that you can play with 10 of your friends for a month and say, hey, that was a great experience. Just with the tools.
And this
and the
game
features
isn't
in the
even
game,
supposed to be for a month. Like, this is the game that you play for years. These are MMOs. These are games that you dive into and lose your life in, right? Not lose your life, but in 100%. A bad way. I think you know what I mean.
I mean, I played World of Warcraft for a long time.
Yeah,
so.
I played Ultima Online for a long time. Like, games like that, this is my next version of that. That's what I want this to be.
100%, right? You want to be able to create yourself like a second life with a few friends, the organizations and stuff, You have that one friend who just wants to be your combat pilot, and a couple of guys who just want to play space, marine, and blast into the side of a starfarer and get all the loot. And that's, the promise of all that gameplay is super enthralling. And a lot of people are frustrated because they can't quite do that yet, right?
Yeah.
And it comes like, you get 70 friends online, you say, what do you want to do? Well, let's just jump in a hammerhead and like gang Port Olisar or go and do bounty missions. And
look at my big ship.
Right. And it's super cool. And even now I go into the hammerhead, I'm like, Jesus, this is insane.
Yeah.
But I personally think they need to spend a little bit of time finding why the players are in the game, right? Giving the players motivation for anything. And this needs to be like a generalized system. The reputation system is really close to this.
Yes.
And if you look at other games, Star Citizen, no matter where you are with this game, if you've just started playing yesterday or whatever, you will have a lot of moments in this game where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, where do I go? What do I do? What's happening? I'm confused.
Right, and it doesn't really require a lot for that to be different, right? It doesn't require some magical system to be in place. It just needs reward and direction, right? You need mission givers like you were talking about with Miles Eckhart before, reputation systems, or even just a simple text-based system that pops up and says, yo, go collect 1 million credits doing salvaging stuff. And if you do, you're going to get this funky, recolor of an armor skin. It doesn't need to be a big extra development cycle effort.
Dude,
it can be a recolor of a skin.
People lose their mind when I mention these things. Don't gamify my sim. Don't do it. So, okay, I don't know if you were ever here for the podcast where I explained this one YouTube comment. It was absolutely insane. This guy wrote this thing. It was literally this long. It couldn't even fit on my phone screen. And he was mentioning how Star Citizen is legally a sim. They can legally not put gameplay elements in it because it is a sim. And he just went off about how legally Star Citizen is a sim.
But
Lawyer
this is
Andy.
how strong people feel about this game.
I know,
right?
it's nuts.
They own part of it. And everyone has created this idea of what it is to them. Like you and me are saying, this is an Ultima or WoW replacement. There's other people who are like, this is my replacement to Elite Dangerous. There's other people who want it to be Eve, Second Life, whatever it is. Everyone needs this to be something different, and everyone's frustrated for completely different reasons, right? And I think they need to start identifying whether they can bring those different frustrations into a package that they can fix in one go. And if they can't, they need to start being more transparent, right?
Yeah.
Coming from doing small-time industry and small-time manufacturing stuff, there's a lot of parallels between what CIG are doing with. They're not creating a mass production product, right? Everything they create is on the small scale. They're going to make 100, 200 ships, 100, 200 planets. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of individual things to make. So what CIG do a lot of the time is show us the jigs and tools they've made so they can make all these things later, and they go, look how cool this is. And it is. And from a game designer perspective, you can look at that and go, that's really neat. And, like one of your earlier callers was saying with the bunker missions where they can say, now this can be scaled and applied in a lot of different ways. That's really cool from a gameplay perspective later.
Yeah.
It's cool from a design perspective now.
It's cool from game development, but like, I want to play the game. So talk to me about that,
Right, but they're not there yet. They're still showing us jigs. They're still showing us the tools that they're building to make the game. And it's cool, but it isn't gameplay. And I think they need to step back a second and say, yeah, we're making all of these tools to make the ships have shield emitters, all of the planets to have lava rivers and different gravities and underwater sea pressures and stuff. And that's very cool. And I want them to keep working on that.
But is that the most important thing?
Not at the moment, because they have players in their game.
Yes.
If they were just developing this on the back scene, I would say, fuck all of this quality of life stuff. That's completely unimportant. And the developers can deal with the consequences of dying every time you summon a lift and you get Willy Wonka into the abyss.
Exactly.
That's their job. They're being paid for that, right? We've paid for the experience. So
yes,
on the one hand, I don't want to say to them, you have to fix Willy Wonka lifts because they're ruining my experience, because that isn't a big deal. It's also not a big problem, and it's not hard for them to fix on the back end. But they have real players going, fuck this game, because they've died 3 times on Orison after, trying to get out of the atmosphere for 20 minutes in a ship without engines that can do it. But there isn't a solution to that problem without spending real game time and taking that away from things that do fix the game for the players who don't mind standing 10 feet away from the doors.
Or are just sitting back waiting for it to finish.
Right.
I always point this out, like, I don't know exactly how many views like ISC, SCL, those kind of things get, but they're obviously going to be, they're the official ones, so they're going to get more views than your average content creator. That's going to be a good gauge on your most active community members are probably going to be watching that every week. It's in 100%. The 100,000 range. There's 2-3 million backers for the game, right? Like, a lot of people obviously have second accounts and third accounts and all sorts of shit. But in reality, most people are just sitting on the sidelines going, do something.
Right. And I have a lot of friends I bring into the game. And I had a good conversation with a guy who I know from things completely unrelated to Star Citizen, right? And he had a lot of really good points when he was coming into the game about the frustrations with the perception that he has of, how the community talks about the game and how the game developers advertise features and how they actually are in the game. And whilst I tend to take a little bit more of a pragmatic approach and just enjoy what's there, I couldn't really poke holes in his argument, right? Because my opinion was that he wasn't enjoying what was there on the basis that the things he wasn't enjoying was spoiling it everywhere else. And I think a lot of players suffer from that problem. But they're not wrong.
No.
And I can't say objectively that they shouldn't find that to be something that spoils the game for them, because if that is frustrating enough to not make you want to play, then that's it, right?
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
Right. And I'm the kind of guy who buys sticks and likes tinkering with stuff. So Star Citizen to me is an excuse to do other things, right? It doesn't have to be an all-encompassing game that entertains me constantly. It's an excuse, and it provides that pretty well.
Yeah.
And
I'm
that isn't
not
what it is
that
to all
type.
people.
Yeah, I'm not that type.
Right.
I want the game to guide me. I want, like, the start of your conversation is what I need to enjoy the game. And that's why I want the standard a bit higher. So when things like Reputation do start coming in, that you're not gated by the fun of the possibility of fun through a bunch of systems that were just thrown in like really, really quickly, and they don't need to be polished. They just need to be brought up to the standard that you would expect for, again, the tactile things like inventory, like the Caller Paukilla, right? He said the standard of certain things like the bunkers isn't as important, but something that the player will use every day in and out all the time, like your inventory, like your selling systems, like the UIs on your ships, right? Those kind of things, those do need to be brought up to a higher standard.
100%,
That's where you need to
100%.
say, these are priorities. And then everything else could be an alpha, right? Like, again, it's an alpha, it's in a live service. So what things have to fall into the live service category? What things have to fall into the alpha category? That's why alpha's in quotations in the title. Because it's
like, does it matter if the Ares Ion fits the exact role that it's supposed to now? No. Is it annoying when it doesn't? Sure. But does it matter now? No, it really doesn't. Its main prey doesn't exist in the game.
That's true.
So
and then, but it also
balanced,
does. It also does too, because people spent real money on it, and that's where you like.
And I own an Ion, right? I paid real money for it.
Yeah.
So I paid for one as well, and I'm irritated by the changes to it because I don't think it lives up to the fantasy that it's going to be. And it annoys me that it isn't what it's supposed to be in a fantasy perspective, because that stuff doesn't necessarily change with balance. But I also would have been happy for them to have just fucked the damage over and left it cool but weak, because they can deal with the balance later, right? And again, there's the heart of the problem. Part of this is fantasy to some people. Part of this is efficacy.
Yeah. People
the
spend real
Ion looks
money
cool.
and
the Inferno's an A10 space, and if you're happy to just kill, Auroras and stuff, it smokes.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the buying of ships and stuff throws a whole nother monkey wrench into it too, where people get hooked onto it because of that, and then it becomes a bit of a problem.
I agree,
but,
and like buying ships are real money, and the fact that they need to keep their entire game industry kind of moving forward, I can see why they get into this trap of overselling ships and overhyping them through their marketing department to get people to buy them, right? I mean, they've had 2 very, very, very good years. I think they could afford to be a little less hype and a little bit more realistic, and maybe start selling the game on the basis of the people who already have paid for your ships.
Yeah.
And, give them some direction in the game. It doesn't have to be content. All of that's coming, and I think the game's probably 6-7 years away from releasing still. Doesn't bother me, but I think that's ridiculous from a stand away from the problem and look at it perspective. But nonetheless,
it's insane.
I don't think that the content isn't going to come. I can see it on the horizon, but
I mean, it's not like they're not trying,
Right. It's not a scam, that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be real dumb.
In some ways, it kind of there's scammy elements to it, but I don't think it's a scam, right? I think taking the money
might be
from
underhanded in the way that they approach it.
Yeah, the taking money from Star Citizen and moving it over to Squadron and is kind of, I feel that's a little dirty, but the idea of they're not running away with all the money. They're putting it into developers' bank accounts, and those developers are making something.
Are they using it efficiently?
No. No.
Probably not. Is any company? I think the other thing that makes me a little bit less pessimistic about it is looking at other game developers. There are some very good game developers out there, and a lot of good indie developers who make a lot of good stuff. But compared to other games, like I said, I played a lot of WoW, and I look at how Blizzard entertain their community and how they communicate with them. And, they've done a lot of very good stuff, even in patches and expansions that haven't done well. So, they're a competent game designer in a game development studio, but they've run amok of the community way too many times. And CIG needs to avoid doing that before their game even comes out. They need to make sure that they have a solid vision of what they want this to be, so that they don't lead the backers astray, right? Like you said, they don't want to take money from one place into another and develop a single-player game that only a third of the people care about.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one place where they've done, just to go back a little bit from what we were talking, was about the marketing stuff. I think recently they've gotten a lot better with when a new patch comes out, and the videos that they share about what's in that patch have been a lot more of in-game video and a lot more of a realistic perspective of what you would play. This last one, I don't know. This last one, I don't know how I felt about it. I think it set a little bit of a weird standard as well, because...
Yeah, I think the community was upset about the bed sheets too, right? I mean, that sort of tainted everything that was in there.
I think that's just stupid, and I don't think that was our community. I think that's that outside community that sees something sensational and is like, time to make a clicky thumbnail about it. The bed sheets have always been a thing, and they've shown it for years, and it's like, I don't think it's anything.
I didn't think it was inconsistent with how CIG behave on these things. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and that they would never have been okay with an NPC just glitching through a sheet. Like, that's kind of a given. I think we can all acknowledge, for better or worse, their standard for detail is higher than that. And understanding what's behind it with the other like sheet texture shit they've done. But like you said, you need to have been watching like hours of content every week for the past 6 months to kind of get the context of that. So I can see why normal people are like, why are you doing this? It's silly. But it really is like an extra 2 weeks of dev time on 2 guys for one thing, right?
And then they put it down forever and then come back to it, and it's like it's just not that big of a deal. It was something mentioned in an update, like very casually. Right. I don't know, and that's kind
but
of
then
how
the art
it should
department
be.
knock it out the park with the Corsair teaser stuff. Oh,
Excited for that.
Oh, that cockpit though.
Does look good, but yeah, I don't know. So I think we're all sort of in agreement in a lot of ways that things need to be brought up a little bit better, but we also have to remember that the game still has a lot of features that need to be brought into it.
Yeah, I mean, they said they were going to get away from the whole tier 0 mindset, right, and start bringing things out a little bit more feature complete. But like,
have they yet?
The earlier guy? No, and I don't think we've reaped any of the benefits from that. Salvaging may well be the first element of that, but like you said, the writing's on the wall with that. We'll see whether that comes to pass and is actually a piece of content. I think most people are going to be disappointed. I think functionally, from a very gameplay perspective, it will be better than a T0 thing would typically be. I think it'll be more applicable and it'll be applicable on more ships and stuff, but I don't think there will be a reason to salvage much in the game outside of it gets you money. Some small amount of money, maybe. Or you can just repair your own ship.
Which is not great.
Not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but it's not like, my God, I'm going to lose my mind. That's so exciting. Not for me, at least.
If I'm playing with my friends, I land my Redeemer every 5-10 missions if I'm running ballistic stuff, and maybe 20 if I'm not. And I repair then, and it takes the same amount of time as if I was refueling. So what's the motivation for me to repair my ship rather than just land on a pad?
No idea.
Same with refueling, right? Where's the motivation for me to engage in that behavior?
Yeah. And again, that's where the game needs to start shifting. Is you gotta start motivating me. You gotta make me want to play the game. You gotta give me things like I don't know how you played WoW. I know how I played Ultima Online, and I thought about outside of the game all the time about what I needed to do next. What was I going to do next? What was on my list of things to do today? And I don't have that in this game. Not even close, and I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel for that.
Yeah. And I think it relies heavily on this emergent element of the community to create those gameplay loops to some degree. You know, they obviously liked Jumptown, and they've made efforts to sort of expand that into something else at the community. And I think that was reasonably successful. When I look at other game devs who sort of take an emergent experience and go, let's do that in the game, it's always shit. It's always reeks of over corporate, and they've done the wrong thing, and they focused on the wrong element, and the players can't do the thing that made it good. Because the thing that made Jumptown 1 really good was the griefing, right? Let's all be honest about this. The fact that you can dick around with other players, that frustration drives people to do pretty crazy things, like rock up with 20 of their mates in 16 different ships and start an all-out war. The frustration is what leads to a lot of the emergent gameplay, but they don't want to ostensibly frustrate their gamers, because when they do, people kick off and they go, I can't get anything done, and I want to make 1 million credits an hour, and every time I try to, pirates blow me up. So then they get blamed for the emergent gameplay being toxic, not the players.
Yeah, for sure. It's true, and I think that I want to see more of that stuff. It's just bring us closer together and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I would say we're getting kind of long on the call. So what do you, is there anything else that you want that's on your mind? If you wrote anything down, or do you have any lists of things that we didn't talk about?
I never write anything down as a point of principle, sir. But yeah, I mean, no, I think I covered everything. I spoke for quite a while.
Nice.
Thank you for having me on, man.
I appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, you too, man. I'll have to jump in again soon. You take it easy.
Later, you too. Bye. Beefy, does your mic work?
Yo,
does your mic work?
Yeah, I guess. Does it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so standards.
So standards. Yeah, where's your cam? Now the standard is that you have to have a webcam now.
No. Not right now.
Nah, I'm just kidding. What
Yeah.
how do you feel about the conversation and everything?
Ah.
Because do you
So
play?
I took
are you playing it all now?
I took a very long break. I stopped playing after like 312.
Uh-huh.
And I have played 2 times in the last week.
Okay.
And it's I feel like the game is almost less functional now. Like things just feel much clunkier.
There's just more things to be clunky, I feel like.
Yes.
You
yeah.
have more things,
and like,
but they are clunky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the way that relates to the standards, it's like I feel like there was a lot of misplaced focus on changing all the UI stuff and inventory.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know. It's like priorities. It's always about priorities with this game.
Yeah, but I feel like coming in to how high are you? Chat's all making comments.
I'm fine.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm good.
5. Nice. So the thing about priorities though is you don't feel like something like looting was something they wanted to do or should have done now?
Well, like if it takes 10 clicks to pick up a gun and try to put it in your inventory and then it falls through the planet or it doesn't go in your inventory, and then once it's in there, you also got to click and drag. It's just like...
Yeah. I mean, that's... Okay,
it's a very poor implementation. Yeah, exactly. But like, if something that's like so crucial, like interacting with the game, like it was just frustrating enough for me to want to just like stop playing like halfway through my experience, you know, because it's those very basic things.
What would bring you back?
That you kind of just if interacting with the world and the character was like way more fluid, like everything just feels you know, like equipping armor or weapons, like it's all very it's just worse now than I think it was. Like it's just super clunky.
Yeah.
Like takes, you know, a few clicks, like everything takes a little while to load in. Not like it didn't take a while to load in with the Moby Glass either, but
yeah. That's true. It is clunky. I mean, I think there's like double clicks and there's like things that make it a little faster. There's like it's been better in some ways, but yeah, it is pretty clunky in others. It's true, especially when moving inventories around. I think the weapon stuff isn't as bad.
Yeah, but it's like I would love for there to be more focus, like way less focus on new areas and ships, like to an extent, like, and much more focus on making the things that are there now like more not tactile but just fluid.
Yeah. So quality of life. You just want more quality of life, and we don't need more as much more stuff. Okay.
Yeah, because it adds like this over complication, like where there's way more points of failure.
I guess.
Like way more points for bugs to show up.
Sure. When it comes to like areas and
at
stuff,
least in my personal experience, yeah.
That's fine. I think when it comes to areas, I don't think that's true, because areas are just like a different team. But the I think I always feel like, and this is something like when I put that mining video out recently about, like I said, mining was broken in the title or something, and mining isn't really broken, but it's their way of doing things, and I think this is kind of what you're talking about, is you have all these features in the game. When you add a new feature that could help enhance those features, they typically don't do that side of it. They just add the feature in by itself, and it's buggy, and it doesn't add to the player's experience. You want your experience to improve every patch, but that doesn't always happen now.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like the gameplay in those older patches from a year and a half or 2 years ago was a lot more streamlined. Like, I feel like there were like less hang-ups. Like, even though there was like less to do, like there was only like...
There's a lot less to do.
Yeah.
So like what? Like what was more streamlined about it? I'm trying to get your point of view here, because I don't agree with it at all. But I'm trying to not really, because I think there's so much more to do now that like you just streamline player experience for me. Like I get to do something. So it's kind of nice, and even if it is a tiny bit more clunky, I'm able to enjoy it. But it's not a tiny bit more clunky. It is much more clunky, and you're right on that part. And that seems to be where you're just like, you know what? I can't deal with it. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's like but that is the nature of alpha.
Yeah.
You know, that it is going to be very buggy, but then the game has this visual quality of finished product. It's
I don't know.
Confusing. Yeah.
Did every item in our inventory have to look really nice and be holographic and all this other dumb shit? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Just fucking work. Just work and have your base. Like that's where the shit drives me nuts. Is
yes.
Just have it work and have it have the basic bare bones functionality that you would expect from an inventory. Selling, just make it work and have a basic bare bones functionality that you would have from a selling mechanic.
Yeah, like it doesn't need to, like, you can literally just have like a JPEG of the weapon or whatever, and like it doesn't need to be like you said, holographic 3D. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the things we interact with every day very closely do not need to be like this, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I like that's the thing. Like, I think that everything that QOL, like everybody's saying, like it's just the things that everybody interacts with the most should have the focus in development. I think
it should have the focus on its functionality and not the way it looks.
Yes.
The way it looks can come later. Like when anybody argues about it's an alpha for Star Citizen, what about that part? What about all the time it takes to make it look good? And what about all the time we spend on that stuff and not on the way? And I know it's different teams, but there's no way that there's not like handoff periods and time that time gets taken up there at some point. There's no way that's not the case.
Like, oh, we have this feature we want to add, but because we have this feature we want to add, we have to make 100 different ultra high quality assets.
All right, hold on. I guess we'll wait for those assets before we continue working on the inventory.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But all right, Beefy. It sounds like we're about done. Do you have anything else that was on your mind about it?
No, I mean, I don't know. I haven't played in a while. Played recently. My experience was a bit worse than when I played, last. So
it's wild. Better frame rates, more stuff to do.
I had pretty terrible frame rates.
Okay.
But, I don't know. Did some NVIDIA control panel tweaks that should have just been done by the developers. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
Anyways. All right. Well, it was good talking to you. Yeah.
It's always good, Beefy. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right.
Bye now.
See ya. Peace.
Bye. For the people that are in the queue, there's a few more people that popped in the queue. This is going to be our last caller, the one that's coming up here. And strap in. Strap in, boys. That's all I'm going to say. Bucha, what's up, dude? Hello?
Yo.
What's up?
Well,
Bucha from...
you. Let me make sure I actually got the set up on the speaker side.
Can you hear me?
All right. Can we talk?
Can you hear me? Test.
Yes, I can. Yes.
All right. So Bucha from Linus Tech Tips fame. He was the guy with the helmet.
Yes. I am not wearing it right now, so we'll get a different conversation.
Wait, you don't shower with the helmet on?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Bucha with Discord conspiracy theory fame as well from our Discord. I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm nervous.
All right. Well, actually, I think this will be a pretty decent conversation. And yes, I have written notes about this.
Okay.
All right. So I would say, first off the bat, one of the things that you were questioning about is whether or not a live service raises the bar. And I would agree with you and say that live service does, yes, raise the bar of reasonable expectations.
Yeah. So, like, as a player, that if they say the game is a live service, I should expect more, right? And that's why I do. Okay.
Yeah. So off the bat, yes. Let's say that. Now, if we're talking about what is the standard of alpha in terms of what CIG can deliver, we first have to look at the way of how CIG has structured its game dev, and we can kind of see that through the progress tracker over the years of postmortems and whatnot. But let's kind of keep it brief in this case.
Mm-hmm.
How CIG structures its game dev is that they are pretty close as far as they finish a task, they go on to the next. There's not a whole lot of looking back, and there's very little time to catch one's breath when moving from one task to another.
Yeah, the agile development, right?
Right. And revisits of a feature or a task are rarely months apart, but they're often years apart. And recently, reappropriation of teams to Squadron 42 development. And also that there's so much work to do that they can't really, there's just too much work to get done than to spend it, sitting around looking back and saying, well, I wish I did that better. Let's take an extra week, hammer it out.
Okay.
And, this is a manpower problem, and, CIG wants to expand its offices to over 1,000 people in the company. And, is that going to help? Well, it's not going to help immediately. I mean, at the very minimum, it's going to be, 6 months per person to get up to speed, even regardless of how well Houdini and Bridge works. I mean, these people have to also understand the art style, the leadership style, and the task work, culture there.
Yeah, it always takes, no matter what company job you're in, it takes time to get acclimated. That's why we've seen that, like, people freaking out, excuse me, about that task for the coffee vendor or whatever, right? That was somebody getting caught up to speed. But that was a quarter of work, right? That somebody worked on.
Right. And we also have to remember that this is CIG's first MMO. They haven't made one before, so they're going to make the basic mistakes everybody makes when they make their first MMO.
What, you sound like you know what those mistakes are.
Well, in the sense, it's just sort of like, hey, think about even back to EverQuest. Did EverQuest know exactly what their inventory system was going to be when they first started building it? No, not really.
No, and should we expect CIG to know what their inventory system is going to be like 5 years from now, even though they're developing a part of it now? I think that would be unreasonable too, right?
Yeah.
No, that seems unreasonable. Well, like the basic core functionality of it, sure, but don't you think that they might, I don't know, add some wrinkles to things and make things different, more interesting? They might take a look at something later on. That's what I'm referring to, is that 5 years down the road, the core functionality, the basic how it's used should be there, but if they want to tack on something extra, they could.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to do something, well, let's not even call it new. If you're trying to iterate on something that's already been done before, yes, that's going to take time. That's going to take experimentation. But
Okay.
the argument, I would probably say the difference, in this case, between like what EverQuest was expecting their inventory to be versus what STIG wants their inventory to be, there is a bigger library of knowledge to reference and see, well, they did this, that didn't work, they went for this for these reasons. There's a lot more library of knowledge, so you can kind of skip the making the same mistakes kind of thing.
Yeah, especially for something like an inventory or a selling system or a trading thing.
Right.
I think when it comes down to flying spaceships and all these other things, you don't have that frame of reference for many other games, and especially not MMOs.
Yes, and that is a fair point. And so, yeah, things like how does mining work with a spaceship? Let's be honest, sort of like not too many games have done that, so you're kind of in an uncharted territory.
Yeah.
But when you have the ground-based stuff, the single player first person on the planet, working that stuff, you have a bigger library of knowledge to work with. That being said, so in the sense of sort of like how we're going to reach a standard in alpha development that we're all happy with in this say. CIG is going to keep up how they've structured game dev right now, and us calling out expectations of what we want out of it. They're going to be two different points. So I would probably say, for the sake of this argument, let's try to come up with a compromise that doesn't screw too much with CIG's task order list and gives us at least enough of at least enough feedback from devs saying, "Hey, we're working on this." So let's call something a feature pass cycle.
Okay.
So like a team is constructed to go with mining. Let's just use mining as an example. The feature of mining is going to be passed over to the feature pass cycle. And how long should that be? I would say 3 months is too short. 6 months is too long. Let's, because it's hockey playoff time, let's go with 3 periods in a year.
Okay.
Which, by the way, congratulations on the Battle for Florida coming up.
Well, I'm a Rangers fan, so no congratulations yet.
Well, yeah, hockey in Florida,
but hockey for hockey in Florida, it is an exciting time. This is wild.
Yeah. So we have a 4-month period of a feature pass cycle that's going to work on mining. So what I would say is that feature pass cycle team should be at best should be from all the same region office. And at worst, it should be 2 large chunks from 2 different offices. So like you want people who have worked on that feature in the past as much as possible.
Yeah, because you can't, in that case, like the example that I gave about Stellaris, did you hear that one?
I heard a little bit about it. I think I stepped away in the middle of it, but if you want to refresh that.
I'll refresh it. It's very quick. They have a team that works on upcoming feature patches, so they just have a team that literally develops new features and delivers, like that entire team develops the new features, develops the new content patch, and then they have a whole separate team that goes through and develops quality of life patches, and that entire team goes through the game, chooses where they want to work on quality of life, very similar to the way you're touching on mining. All right, hey, we want to do a quality of life pass on mining. That team works on that and then delivers the a patch that is a quality of life patch, not a major feature patch.
Right. And I would also say that this team needs to have a high priority. It cannot have people that are poachable or for some ancillary or some other task coming up.
Agreed.
They need that team to stay together for that 4-month period.
Yeah.
And they need to have a clear set of tasks and goals that they want to achieve and a standard that they want to have. So, and from there, what they also need for the forward-facing side of this stuff, they need a communication portal at the beginning and end of this feature pass cycle.
What does that mean?
Well, in this case, we would get a community manager to be a Dan Giesling liaison.
What the hell are you talking about? I know. I obviously know who Dan is, and I know what he did with Star Citizen. But where does he fall into this?
Well, this would be sort of communicating what's going on with the feature pass cycle on a weekly report basis. It could be a video, it could be a Spectrum report or something like that. But it's weekly communication, sort of like this is what the feature pass cycle team is trying to accomplish. Here's what they are doing. This is what they've accomplished.
Essentially, another Jake, where Jake's the roadmap guy. We would have the feature guy, the feature team guy. Okay.
And then for everything that's being tested, the PTU would be the test bed and not Evocati.
Oh, okay. So we would be involved in this.
Very much so, yes.
Okay.
So it's a case of sort of like, because features in this live service kind of case, let's just we can't close down Star Citizen just to work on a single feature. So no. But at the same time, if you're going to be working on a feature that affects so many people like mining, you can't just hide it behind a closed door, especially this case and this far into alpha. You need to have a little bit more transparency engagement at what you're trying to do, because this would also show sort of like, hey, we are actually listening to this feedback. We're not cherry picking these ideas or cherry picking these tasks because not because they're easy to do, or just because the conspiracy that they only listen to the high ranking backers. No, you eliminate those concerns.
Yeah, this works so much. Okay, I don't know if this is a realistic thing that could happen, or if they would do it, but I brought up a very similar thing with what I like about what Stellaris does. So it's something I don't disagree with anything you're saying, really, and I like what direction you're going in with this team. I like that idea. What I like even more about it is they have the opportunity to say, hey guys, these are the things on our task list. Here are the feedback threads, and they're going to action that feedback immediately. Instead of, here's a feedback thread, and then it doesn't get actioned for the next 6 months, a year. Yeah. For whenever. It doesn't get action for what feels like forever. And I think that would make the backers, from a backer perspective, feel more involved, feel like their feedback means something, and all sorts of shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it gives several opportunities for CIG to take authorship of what they're doing, rather than sort of like feeling like it's behind a very thick fog, and then like all of a sudden something shifts and changes. You're like, how could we have ever known that it was going to shift in this direction? Whereas sort of like a little bit more open, sort of like, again, just sort of like you don't need to spend an entire year trying to fix mining. Sort of like, and understandably that there's just so many tasks to do. So like 4 months seems like a compromise for a feature team improvement, or just feature pass cycle.
Think about this. There's quarterly patches, and then there's a 0.1. They're just doing the 0.1. It kind of works.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, at least recently, sort of like these quarterly cycles are taking that extra month.
Yeah, it takes 4 months anyway. Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
So I mean, if CIG kind of looks at themselves honestly and sort of like, this is taking 4 months, we can't do it in 3. I mean, sort of like, then this would absolutely line up with their dev cycle to say, But I mean, it is a case of, it does feel a little bit as far as what we're talking about with standards with alpha. This is the closing statement, so we can.
Okay.
In the sense that obviously the big problem on the horizon is going to be just how many people are they going to have working on Squadron 42. And I kind of look at Montreal as sort of like, hey, Montreal's a new office. It's going to be working on Squadron 40. Or no, sorry. It's going to be working on Star Citizen stuff. They're making the hospitals and the clinics. And then they're going to be expanding. And then all of a sudden you sort of say, how much longer is it going to be before Robert sees that and says, oh, They're productive. We can
Dude,
use them
they
on
are
Squadron 42.
productive. And yes, and they're productive. Their stuff is really fun. It's coming into the game. It's pretty clean. Like there's a lot. I'm not dealing with as many bugs at their things. And it's kind of like, oh, I got the same feeling. When are they going to get poached? I'm worried about that as well. But hopefully they're just Star Citizen people. But I think we all know what's going to happen with that. But yeah, Bucha, I would say we'll call the call here. You did your closing statement. I think we're massively on the same page where I feel like at some point, if not now, very soon, we need that kind of team that is hey, there are so many things in this game and there's even more features that we're going to be seeing over the next few years that somebody needs to there needs to be somebody dedicated to going back and bringing stuff up to the standard of the current experience. And there's a lot of things that aren't. And I agree with you and I love it. And I hope we see that someday. And then you can claim it as your own. It was your idea. The Bucha team. That's what we'll call it.
Oh, cursed already.
Yep. Yeah, now it definitely won't happen, right? But yeah,
well,
man.
hey, good chat.
Good chat for sure. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. I was so nervous for that one, and it ended up being an awesome call. So that's why I'm on Team Bucha, man. Maybe not in Discord as much because he goes off, but I'm on Team Bucha for a one-to-one voice conversation. So, yeah. Way too reasonable, boring. Exactly. So that was a really good answer to the call. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. We are going to start the sponsored segment of the stream in a few minutes. I'm going to eat. I got about 10 minutes till we have to start. But if you guys are watching this YouTube video, the stream was sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command. Why not the YouTube video as well? Click the link in the description. It'll bring you to the QR code, or you can use the QR code that's been sitting on the screen the entire time and download the game and give it a try. All right. It's a free-to-play MMO mobile game, but you also have a desktop app from them as well. And it's a really, 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 it's fun. I enjoy it. So we have a goal of 50. If you are one of the 50 that help support it, we're going to do a big giveaway for those people. So make sure you join it and then join our Alliance, they're called in the game. And we are on US 56 Targ. That's the name of our server, all right? And yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, this will be up on YouTube later today. Make sure you hit the follow button if you haven't yet. And yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.